This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Zoink! How's everybody doing? Yeah, I think these are all going to be pretty interesting ones tonight. And then one of them is a possible related case to one of the ones we've talked about before. Alright? How's everybody doing? Hey, there's Cairo and Stacy, Jen Richards. Yeah, hey Jen, why'd you move all the way from Oregon over to Tampa? Wow. Didn't you have it hot enough here all summer? Yeah, it was crazy. Mars looks just like Central Oregon. It's weird. Or places in Australia out in the middle of the desert. Hey, thank you, Rita Schaefer. Yeah. Okay. Don't ask. Alright, won't do it. Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I'm just going to get started on the cases tonight. We don't want to delve into getting vaccinated. Oh my God, I mentioned it. Oh, Jesus, how dare you? Yeah. All right, here we go, everybody. I'm going to start off with I'm going to go back over two cases that we've already done and then add a third to it. And we'll see what we think. Okay, tonight we'll put some polls in there and hopefully everybody finds them interesting. Of course, we're not talking about Summer Wells again, so people just click, oh, not Summer Wells. Okay, forget it. When sometimes some of these cases are a hell of a lot more interesting, to be honest with you. Oh my God, did he say that? How did? The only case that ever existed. Yeah, it's the same thing in like the Chris Watts people. It's the only case. I remember when Chris Watts just started, people literally said this sentence. Man, if you don't cover this case, you're not part of true crime. This is the single greatest case that's ever been. And that's when I went, oh God, okay. You know what's weird about the Chris Watts case? It's probably the singularly least interesting case in the history of mankind, except all the newbies on social media made it seem like that. There was nothing. It was all figured out 2 days in. Unreal. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do these kind of in this sort of weird order here. But we'll start off with Charles Lawrence, 1984. I've got some newspaper clippings here. There aren't a ton. Yeah, well, that's why we have the No Chris Watts button. I mean, the only time I mention him is why not to mention him. Hey, thanks. Anadarko oil. It's soiled that name for all of history. There isn't a chance in hell, even on your deathbed, if somebody said, hey, what do you think? I bought some stock in Anadarko oil. The first thought that comes to your mind is the case that shall go nameless. Hey, you guys might want to go out and share the link somewhere because we're at a really tiny. There must be a live stream going on right now with regarding Summer Wells. You know, only got 98 people in here. That's usually like an accident. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to get started. Okay, well, I don't need a constant update. All right, obviously, 2 more showed up. All right, here we go. Oh, really? Okay, forget it then. But anyways, this will be really interesting. And, you know, unfortunately, that case sucks the oxygen out of the room for all other cases that deserve just as much, if not more, attention because they're older and they're not solved at all. Hey, thanks, Lori Grant. Oh, that probably Cairo. I'm sure they're right there. All right, here we go. Popular teacher found shot to death in his home. So, right now, I come up with 2 theories here. You might want to maybe you can think of what your theory is, and then we'll do a poll at the end. Okay. Robbery is possible motive in the shooting death of a 4th grade Perry County school teacher who was found in his home by his fiancée, authorities said Friday. Charles Robbie Lawrence, 36, a candidate for Perry County school superintendent and a popular teacher with the students, was shot once in the chest. So right now we've got a fiancé and he was running for an office. Was shot once in the chest with his own deer rifle Thursday. Huh, well, that's interesting. I didn't really pick up on that part. His own deer rifle. Okay. And that was on Thursday night at the entrance to his bedroom, authorities said. We're not sure about the motive, but robbery is one possibility, Perry County Sheriff Charles Qualls Jr. said Friday. Rumors are flying. You don't know how it is. This Linden is a small place, Qualls said. Qualls said authorities have 2 or 3 suspects, but are not close to making an arrest. The intruder or intruders, this is 1984. The intruder or intruders, let me tell you where this is too. It's in Linden, Tennessee. And I've got the actual. Hey, thank you, Brandy Bradford. So based on a video that's out here, I think the house might even be this house right there on this Highway 100 and She Hollow Drive right there. It's somewhere right around in this area. Really unpopulated area. And it's just this little tiny town called Linden right here. Thank you, Brandy Bradford and Carrie B. Is it Carrie or Kari? Okay, A, Carrie, B, Kari. Now I gotta remember which one I said. A, so Carrie. Okay. All right, so this is a TBI, the same, Summer Wells TBI. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation just completed its investigation of the shooting scene. It'll be a while before they know anything, Quall said. Lawrence, a native of Linden, had returned from a weekly Lions Club meeting when he was shot about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. On his way home, he had stopped by the Buffalo River Motel, which he owns, said a motel employee who refused to give her name. She declined to say whether Lawrence took money home from the motel that night. She declined to say? That's interesting. Huh. God, there's like 3 angles on this one now. Hold on. I gotta write these down. Man, that's wild. And that's crazy. All right. On his way home, he had stopped by the Buffalo River Motel, which he owns, said a motel employee who refused to give her name. She declined to say whether Lawrence took money home from the motel. So when you say declined, does that mean she didn't want to answer? And I think this is where the hotel was. It's the only motel in the town. And it's a tiny town, so I'm just assuming it's right there, very close. Just right on the same road even. Okay, fiancé discovers slain teacher's body. Look how this goes through all the details on here. The fiancé of Charles Robbie Lawrence narrowly missed a confrontation with Lawrence's assailant when she arrived on the scene just moments after her fiancé was killed. I mean, isn't that kind of stuff's interesting to me. I mean, was there somebody at this point, is there somebody that was interested in her but needed to take him out of the way so that then he could be with her, right? He didn't want her to get married to this guy. And then, or was it something she did because, wow, she gets home right after that? He and his girlfriend, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ones that are just as plausible. Huh? No, it's not anywhere similar at all to Todd Colt-Hep. He and his girlfriend, Karen Schimmel, had just left her house in separate cars to go to his house. So let's see, Karen Schimmel had just left her house. He and his girlfriend. Wait, hold on. Who's he? Okay, so that's his fiancée then. I guess, why not just call her fiancée then? Just moments after her... Wait, hold on a second. Let me hear this again. Lawrence narrowly missed a confrontation with Lawrence's assailant. Okay, the fiancée of Charles Lawrence narrowly missed a confrontation with Lawrence's assailant. So we're talking about the fiancée. When she arrived on the scene just moments after her fiancé was killed. Officials said yesterday. He and his girlfriend, Karen Schimmel, had just left her house in separate... Oh, wow. So her name is Karen Schimmel, and they should have just referred to as fiancé, not girlfriend, because now it's confusing. What are you talking about? So he and his fiancée, Karen Schimmel, had just left her house in separate cars to go to his house. She was following behind him, but no more than 5 minutes. But see, why was she anywhere near 5 minutes behind him? You're just leaving the house, you get into 2 cars, right? Evidence at the scene indicated Lawrence walked into the kitchen, then the dining room area of his home, where he put his coat on the back of a chair. So just kind of picture this in your head. These are all interesting ones tonight. Hey, Sean. So evidence at the scene indicated Lawrence walked into the kitchen dining room area of his home, where he put his coat on the back of a chair, put his glasses on a bar, officials said. Then he apparently walked down to the end of the hall and turned toward the bedroom where he was shot once with a .30-06 bullet which pierced his heart. Well, if there was an intruder, how would the intruder know right where the rifle is and be just sort of ready to go and bam, right in the heart? See, that part's weird. How could it just be an intruder that found the .30-06 and was just waiting? Shamal, the fiance, who was engaged to marry Lawrence in June, found her fiance. So she was going to get married to him in just like 2 months. Found her fiance's body at 9:10 Thursday, lying in the hall near a back bedroom of his house. And so the person shoots her and then bails out of the house, shoots him, and then he's gone. I mean, that's just, the timing of that is really hard to believe, but definitely could be. Shamel ran next door to the home of Henry and Trudy Phillips to telephone for an ambulance. Here, let me look something up. Let me look them up really quick, because then we can know exactly where this address is. I hadn't thought of that earlier. So it's Henry and Trudy Phillips. Henry Phillips. And this is going to be in Linden, Tennessee. Shoot. Didn't have that one. How about Trudy? Did I spell that right? Oh, no. Didn't even spell it right. There we go. Yes, that's her. Ooh, Linden. There we go. We're going to get the address. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. Should be right around this area here. Oh, wait. That could be it right there. Yep. Boom. Right there, and that's the house. That's the house I thought it was right there. So here's the neighbors right here. That's awesome. I love just one little clue, and bam, you get the exact spot. So I think this was probably it right here. Either that, or I guess it could be this one right here. We don't know. Shamel ran next door to the home of Henry and Trudy Phillips to telephone for an ambulance, but went back the Lawrence home almost immediately, to the Lawrence home, it should say. She did not see or hear the assailant, he said. Lawrence, 36, a well-respected Linden schoolteacher and owner of the Buffalo River Motel, was shot to death apparently with his own deer rifle, which was found lying on a bed in the back bedroom. Man, there definitely should be some touch DNA on that. Although back then people were aware of fingerprints, might have worn gloves. In the back bedroom of his home on Highway 100, the night of the shooting, Lawrence had attended a Lions Club meeting and then stopped by his motel. He left the motel just before 9 p.m. to go to Shamel's house. So he went to his fiance's house just before that. Probably just to get her and then have her follow him. He was only there a couple of minutes, Quayle said. She was folding clothes and told him she'd be on over in just a little while. Okay, so now it's a little different. This makes more sense that it wasn't just, okay, let's go, and then she's 5 minutes later. No, she was still folding laundry, and then so she got there, 5, 10, 15 minutes. We don't really know later. He was only there a couple of minutes, Quayle said. She was folding clothes and told him she'd be over in just a little while. Quayle said, I guess that opens the door. Well, it's weird because there's such a small window here. Just before 9 at the hotel, and then she gets to the house at 9:10. So man, she just probably went, screw the laundry, and took off. Because you know how when my wife says, oh, I'm going to go finish folding the laundry, man, you know, you got a television show going on. I think there's like 6 shirts folded in an hour because she's watching one of her favorite shows or something. I'm not really sure. I bet she said, listen, I'm not going to screw folding. I'm going to go. Right. You guys know that's how it works, right? Yeah. Laundry is just you know what folding laundry really means, everybody? It means I'm going to take a 4-hour break right now and watch television. However, I'll be folding laundry as I go as the excuse to be doing that, even though there doesn't ever need to be an excuse to do that. You could just sit there and stare at the screen. But it makes you feel better to say, well, I was folding and, you know. Yeah. Qual said robbery may have been a motive for the shooting, although it has not been determined whether anything was taken from the house. The room where the assailant apparently waited for Lawrence contained an empty money box, but officials had not determined yesterday whether there was anything inside the box before the assault. Qual said he plans to question 3 or 4 potential... Let me move this over here. Potential suspects in the case today. A team of canine dogs retraced a trail believed to be that of the assailant, which led through Lawrence's front yard and came to a dead end at Lawrence's motel. Some 2.5... Well, that's kind of weird. A team of dogs actually retraced his trail believed to be that of the assailant, which led through Lawrence's front yard and came to a dead end at Lawrence's motel. 2.5 miles away. So let's, I mean, that's the motel I have. That doesn't look 2.5 miles, but yeah, that's not even a mile. So his hotel might be somewhere else. But man, that's sort of bizarre that it would lead right back to the motel. Why would it go back to the motel? They said that Lawrence's home was just loaded with prints, which are currently being analyzed. So there you go. Those prints have DNA on them. I wonder if they stored any of those things. They said that Lawrence's home was just loaded with prints, which are currently being analyzed. Lawrence's body has been shipped to Memphis for an autopsy, expected to take place overnight. Place sometime next week. Friends of Lawrence said he was not known for keeping a lot of cash at his home. Lawrence, who had taught school here for 10 years, had planned to get his doctorate degree next year. Alright, so then there's these other things that are interesting in here. Perry Principal eyes County School Post. Perry County High School Principal Lanny Diedrich has announced an 11th hour write-in campaign for the post of Perry County School Superintendent following the slaying Thursday of candidate Charles Robbie Lawrence. Right, so now we've got another possibility here. The only candidate who will be listed on the ballot in today's Democratic primary is Anthony Haston, a market owner and former teacher. Well, what if that guy wanted to win that position? I mean, you know, who knows, right? Lawrence Haston's sole opponent was shot in his home by an unknown assailant who was buried Sunday. Oh, wait, he was buried. God, who was buried? Well, they buried the assailant? I meant to say he was buried on Sunday. Sunday, Lawrence's supporters initiated a write-in campaign for Diedrich, who is certified by the State Board of Education. Diedrich's name will not appear on ballots in the 2 precincts that use machines, and citizens wanting to cast votes for the principal there will have to request paper ballots. The remaining 11 precincts routinely use paper ballots, officials said. All right, then we've got the next day. A high school principal drafted to run in place of a slain candidate has won the Democratic nomination for Perry County School Superintendent. Lanny Diedrich of Perry County High School got 1,353 votes to 275 for market owner Anthony Haston. Well, the only Anthony Haston I could find in Tennessee was, I think it was the wrong one. I actually couldn't find anything on this particular. I think he used to play basketball. He was a basketball star in 1969. And I found some stuff like that, but I couldn't find anything after that. So Diedrich was asked to be a write-in candidate by supporters. So Diedrich is out of the picture because he was asked to be the write-in candidate. And it was to replace Lawrence, Robbie Lawrence. So let me see. So we got one more reference in here. Candidates set for local races. Perry County High School principal who won the Democratic nomination in a last-minute write-in campaign will apparently become the county school superintendent this fall. Incumbent Superintendent Elizabeth Tiller declined to seek re-election, and no Republican candidate was certified by yesterday, setting the stage for Lanny Diedrich to be unopposed on the August 2nd ballot. What about that other guy, though? Diedrich was... Oh, yeah. So it was... That's what it was. So Diedrich won the Democratic nomination over that other guy. Yeah, so that doesn't sound like that's a pretty risky... you take somebody out just so that you can run against somebody. Diedrich was drafted for the post by supporters of Linden school teacher Charles Robbie Lawrence. So anyways, they just were going, he didn't even have to run because the incumbent wasn't going to seek re-election and no Republican ran. So then this Diedrich individual became the... That's interesting because you wonder if the other guy, Haston, I think is his name, if he was aware that she was going to step down. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if Haston realized that the Republican nominee was going to step down and would win if he was the only nominee? And this is July 21st, 2021. Are you guys following along here? You guys seem disinterested. I think these are really interesting. But as you can tell, only 161 people here, so it's really obviously not that interesting. I should have put Summer Wells, ... Won't be discussed tonight. We'll be talking about... Thanks, Miss L. Yeah, the investigation into the April 26, 1984 murder of Robbie Lawrence provides interesting details about the crime and perpetrator. As reported last week, Sheriff Nick Weems has enlisted the TBI in a new effort to solve the crime using the latest technology that matches DNA evidence through genealogy records. With the comparisons being conducted at an out-of-state university. Hey, here we go, everybody. Keep an eye out on this one. I wonder what DNA evidence they would have, though. The TBI came to Perry County a couple of weeks ago and shot a video that will be featured on the TBI website, Cold Case page, and YouTube. But while the DNA is being compared and the video reaches out to the public with a plea for more information, here are some facts of the case. A portion that were known by the public at the time of the homicide, and a number of which revealed by the investigation and witness statements. Lawrence, the teacher at Linden Elementary, was a candidate for superintendent of schools in an election to be held just 5 days after his death. His opponent was former teacher and principal Anthony Haston. See, it's interesting that he's even being mentioned if he was nothing. Following Lawrence's death, a successful write-in campaign resulted in election. See, the thing is, you come up with these theories before just reading those newspaper articles. It's kind of obvious. You take out your component. Thank you, Lee D. You take out a component, an opponent, so that you can win. Then you also have an angle of somebody that maybe knew his routine related to his hotel, or somebody who was jealous that he was going to marry somebody that they cared about. I mean, you've got three things like that. And I think they're all... The election one is interesting. Following Lawrence's death, a successful write-in campaign resulted in the election of PCHS principal Lanny Diedrich by a landslide. When Lawrence, who was 36 at the time, entered through the back door of his home that evening around 9 p.m., he was shot once in the chest as he walked down the hallway towards his bedroom. Oh, so there's another one on the 20... Wait, that was the July 21st. Read the first installment on 7/14. Let's see. I didn't see that other article. That's on the 21st. They should have had a link that goes to it, but they don't. I'm trying to find that. I guess there's another reference to the 14th. Charles. Let me just put that in there. Nope, don't see it. Alright, well anyways, there is a video on this next one here, so let's watch this.
Case 3 decades old. Charles needs your help to solve a cold case 3 decades old. Charles Lawrence was a beloved teacher who was killed in Perry County in 1984. News Channel 5's Amelia Young joins us live from the TBI headquarters this morning. So Amelia, why do agents think this renewed call might help solve this case that wasn't solved back in the mid-80s?
Ben, well, Perry County is a small community, so those working the case see there's a possibility that someone who is still alive knows something about Charles Lawrence. He also went by Robbie. Now, Lawrence was
that's what I said, Aaron. Yep.
A school teacher in the county, and in the midst of running for superintendent, he was shot to death in his home. That was April 26, 1984. Former Sheriff Thomas Ward worked the case that night and is still searching.
See, right where he's standing right there, that's where I got an idea. He's standing right here. See? Right there.
For information today, continuing to talk with folks who may have details. Current Sheriff Nick Weems is determined to solve the case because of a personal connection. His grandfather was friends with Lawrence. Not only are they still working on finding details, but since it's been 37 years since the murder, the evidence is actually going through forensic re-examination since there's been a lot of advances since then.
There could be that one person out there that has never come forth, with information that they've held back because they were too.
Connection. His grandfather was from the county, and in the midst of running for superintendent, he was shot to death in his home. That was April 26, 1984. Former Sheriff Thomas Ward worked the case that night and is still searching for.
They did one shot where I could see the street intersection.
Information today, continuing to talk with folks who may have details. Current Sheriff Nick Weems is determined to solve the case because of a personal connection. His grandfather was friends with Lawrence. Not only are they still working on finding details, but since it's been 37 years since the murder, the evidence is actually going through forensic re-examination since there's been a lot of advances since then.
There could be that one person out there that has never come forth with information that they've held back because they were too scared or just didn't want to get involved. They may have that key piece of evidence in their head, and it's time for them to come forward.
The TBI and Perry County Sheriff's Department are asking anyone with any kind of information, no matter how small, to come forward. They say people are still talking about this case to this day and believe someone knows something. At the TBI headquarters, Amelia Young, News Channel 5.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has renewed its call. Charles Lawrence was a beloved. Okay, let's try this. I think this is what I was looking for. There we go. This is the video.
In 1984, Charles Robert Lawrence was a school teacher in Perry County. Robbie, as he was better known, was also running for school superintendent. On the night of April 26th, Robbie arrived at his home off Highway 100.
That's how I was able to get it, because it said, Shea Hollow, and I just looked to see if the detective was in the same spot.
Around 9 p.m. after attending a campaign event. As he walked into his home, he was shot to death by someone who was inside the house. His body was discovered later that night by his girlfriend. Former Perry County Sheriff Thomas Ward was working with another law enforcement agency at that time and was among the first who responded to the scene.
On that April 9th, it was warm, and when I got there, it was already a crowd there.
Despite the years of investigation, collecting evidence, and interviewing people, the murder of Robbie Lawrence remains unsolved. Even after Thomas Ward left his position as sheriff, he has still kept a strong interest in the case.
I've thought about it a lot.
I might try to get a hold of these guys.
I've talked to Nick about it, and I've talked to everybody that I thought or I think would know anything about it, and I still do.
It's also a case current Sheriff Nick Weems is determined to solve.
I think persistence always pays off, and even today, we're a small community, and this has been 37 years ago, but people still talk about it.
For Sheriff Weems, it's also personal. His grandfather and Robbie Lawrence's father were good friends, and to this day, he continues to pursue leads and tips.
There could be that one person out there that has never come forth with information that they've held back because they were too scared or just didn't want to get involved. They may have that key piece of evidence in their head, and it's time for them to come forward.
The evidence collected at the time of the murder is also getting a new forensic re-examination, since there have been so many advances made in testing since the 1984 crime. And while that continues, investigators still believe there are people in the community who have the information they need to be able to identify Robbie Lawrence's killer.
So it's important for everybody who has information to come forward to give us every piece that we can get to this puzzle so that we can put it back together. Hopefully they feel comfortable coming forward, no matter how trivial, how small the information they think they have, it could be the turning point for us.
Thomas Ward agrees. He says despite the years since Robbie Lawrence was killed, information that's valuable to the investigation is still out there.
When we've done stories, good information has come. Some of the best information has come in the later years that I never heard about back in the 80s.
Because there are people who are still alive that had personal knowledge, personal interactions with the victim, and hopefully for their sake and everybody's sake that we can bring this case to closure.
For the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I'm Susan Nyland.
What's the name of the blonde lady that does the speaking in the Summer Wells case? What's her name? All right, so I'm gonna do a poll here. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Let's see. They only give you a certain amount of letters. That's what sucks. I'm trying to. It takes a while to figure out. Okay. All right, here we go. These are the poll questions. Sorry for any spelling errors or whatever. Just try to figure out what the hell I'm saying. It's not girl code, though. It's not girl code. I sort of have a feeling it's related to the election. That's my feeling. But why? It's not like it's... Well, I don't know what it paid or if it did. Oh, Leslie Earhart. Okay. So that was... I didn't think it sounded similar. All right, 5. You got 10 seconds. Answer the poll, everybody. Answer the poll. We're going to get to something, some stuff that's really crazy later. Yeah, well, you don't know, Aaron. It could be anything. You don't know if it's not enough to kill somebody. Maybe they wanted it. All right, let me stop the poll here. There might have been another reason he wanted the job. All right. So the 1 and 2 are candidate, familiar with, they're very close, familiar with the routine, and candidate. Unfortunately, only 58 people voted. The rest of them are just staring blankly at the screen. And then stop marriage by jealous person 20. I think it's a little bit weird that, hey, thanks Lee D and Brandy Bradford. I think it's a little bit strange that there's this guy in the house that was ready to shoot him so quickly. You know, you take off your jacket, you put down your glasses on top of the bar, you walk down the hallway, then boom! It's almost like the guy was sitting there in a chair or something, just getting ready to shoot him. Doesn't that seem like what happened there? How in the hell would he just, happen to know where the First of all, I mean, we don't know where the 30-06 was stored, but you know, you sort of grab it and you're ready to go. I don't know. Something's odd about that one. Thanks, you guys. Yep, our next donation night will be on Sunday. We'll do another one of the smaller ones, like $500 or something. I know that sounds like small. What do you mean? Well, lately we've been doing, you know, over $3,000 a month to various charities. I'm not sure what that means, Cammy. Yeah, so anyways, I think he actually knew exactly, you know, he was waiting for him to come home and then shot him. And then you think, well, maybe there was a cash box empty, and then maybe he did bring home some money. But was anything else stolen? If robbery wasn't the motive, then it's going to be the other ones. It's going to be a jealous person or the election. Not that somebody followed him home. Right? If robbery is determined not to be the motive. Thanks, JD. Wait, what's this Sean Herman guy? What's he doing? Hey, Sean Harmon. Hey, Sean Harmon. Sean Harmon, listen. Can you go troll somebody else? Okay? Nobody's interested in anything that you have to say, okay? So I'm going to have to get rid of you. You're an embarrassment, all right? You make those stupid-ass videos with me in them, and everyone goes, good for you, Gray, awesome. Nobody ever laughs and goes, gosh, Sean, Gray was so mean. So, see you later, buddy. Nobody says it. And that's because you are a whack job. And that's just the truth. Okay? Sorry, buddy. But you sat there and accused your son and your dad of being the Delphi killer and went on a show and talked about it. And then you send everybody thousands of documents. And here's the thing. Even if you're right, I'm glad I never had you on my show. Okay? All right. Thanks, Linda Howe, as in Linda Molden Howe of the cattle mutilation. Do you know the FBI actually looked into cattle mutilations, Linda Howe? I just saw that tonight. That's pretty funny. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah, we know, Living It. You're like 20 minutes late. I don't have it on rewind either. So I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Wild. So that's that story, and sounds like most people think that it was a robbery familiar with routine. All right. I think I'm kind of leaning more towards the candidate thing, but I don't know. Could be. It's weird how many 3 things that are really common as motives in the story, right? You've got he's just about to get married to somebody. Somebody wants to take him out to be with her. He's running for office, running an election just 3 or 4 days later, 5 days. And then he's killed right before the election. And then you have the possibility that somebody followed him or knew where he lived and then saw that, well, it's kind of strange, right? Because the guy was there at the house at the normal time that he would have shown up home, except he made a little bit of a detour first to go to his fiance's home. Then he comes home and the guy seems to be just waiting there for him. I mean, why would the guy be there right at the time he normally would just kind of go home? Although it sounds like he drove there from his house to his office. And then if that's true, the guy had this tiny window to go into the house. That's a weird one, you guys. That's a weird one. Let me read the first one again really quick. Actually, the second one. just want to check this out. Evidence at the scene indicates Lawrence walked into the kitchen. Wait, he and his girlfriend, Karen Channel, just left her house in the separate cars to go to his house. So was he over at her house? But I thought let me go back to the first one again. Lawrence, a native of Linden, had returned from a weekly Lions Club meeting when he was shot about 9 p.m. But remember, he stopped by his work, his motel. So let's see where Lions Club is in here. Bloop, 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 bloop. So, anyways, it landed on this, Linden City Hall, but I don't know if that would be the Lions Club. So he was at a Lions Club meeting, and then he goes to his motel, then he goes over to his girlfriend's house, leaves there just before 9, and then he goes home, and then she finds him dead at like 9:10. I mean, that's nuts. The timing on that. So the person may have been at his house while he was at the Lions Club and wasn't aware, or was he sitting around waiting for him at the Lions Club to then go to the motel, and then he sees him go to the girlfriend's house, so he goes over to the house and waits for him. I mean, there's a lot of weird scenarios in that one. Here's the thing, a lot of really odd timing in this one that makes you think that there's something else, something very, that was plotted out. It doesn't feel random, like, oh, there's just some guy randomly burglarizing the house, and oh boy, just happened to grab the 30-06. Oh, and by the way, shot him right in the heart as he... It just doesn't make sense. It seems like there's something planned here. Yeah, let's do a poll on that one. Okay, here we go. You mean you think the girlfriend set him up? What do you mean, lady? Yeah, just you have to go back and watch the show later, Zozo. We'll be moving on to a next case here. All right. All right, so most people think it's planned. Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely sitting in wait. It doesn't sound like the girlfriend is... You know what? Look, he went over to the girlfriend's house. And, I mean, the thing about her saying, I need to fold some more laundry, but I'll be there shortly, and then she's there literally 10 minutes after him, that does seem a little suspicious. Almost as if she may have known that somebody was going to be at that house. And, I mean, and yet she's the one that ran over to the neighbors and things like that. But you got to put in that part is that she's sort of, she made sure she wasn't going to be there. And we're talking about the fiance. She made sure she wasn't going to be there when he got there, whether intentional or not. And you definitely have to look at something like that. But then what would her motive be, I guess? Whatever was in the the box that was taken. I mean, I don't know. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Anyways, I think no matter how you look at it, it seems planned. See, 94 to 5. There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to move on to another one now, you guys. And this one is 1971. Kathy Lynn Glotti. These are all interesting. Every one of them. Okay, Attorney General Warren Rudman said today a 13-year-old girl found dead in a wooded area Monday had been beaten and there was evidence she had been sexually molested. Rudman identified the victim as Kathy Lynn Glotti, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Earl Glotti, and a pupil at the St. Mary's Elementary School in Franklin, New Hampshire, it looks like. The slaying of Susan Randall, 18, of Manchester, and Kathy Lynn Glotti, 13, of Franklin, brought to 5 the number of unsolved female murders under investigation. Kathy, a student at St. Mary's Junior High School, was found dead November 22nd, and this article's January 3rd, in a wooded area 3 miles from her home a day after she failed to return from a trip to a neighborhood grocery store. Investigation failed to produce any suspects. Neither has the probe to the March beating death of Miss Randall, whose partially clad body was found lying in the ice of the Merrimack River. Another beating death, though. That's kind of interesting. Beating to death somebody isn't that common. Usually it's like a knife or strangulation. But beating to death, there's a lot of rage in somebody doing that. I guess if you take a rock or something, but it's still just that act of doing that's not the same. The other unsolved murders are those of Debbie Lee Horn, 11, of Allenstown in January 1969, Judith Blakesley, 26, of Hooksett in July 1970, and Diane Dunham, 15, of North Charlestown in June 1968. So I guess those are other ones we could take a look at some point. And then there's like nothing in the paper for some reason for a long time. And then there's these long articles here. So let's take a look at these. The church-going older man at the center of an old murder investigation. This is a 2006 article. Now in Florida. What's weird is this one sort of has a similarity to the... what was that one that you wrote, Stacy? I just haven't done it yet. Remember the girl, she was in a small town, and they thought maybe a priest, something like that. I forgot her name. Huh? What do you mean the chair creaks? It's hardly ever, I'm hardly even moving. What's the name of that one? Yeah, it was like, I don't remember the names. Yeah, well, my chair that's just what it does. I don't know what else to do. We know, Sean Beecham. Do you mind if I just do the show, though? Oh, yeah, Amanda Goodman. There we go. That's right. So it's kind of similar to what a theory is in the Amanda Goodman case. In the early 1970s, Edward Duquette was nicknamed Filthy McNasty. People who drank and rode motorcycles with him in Franklin, New Hampshire, told the Concord, Hampshire Monitor for a story published Sunday. His behavior landed him in prison here in 1970 for attempted statutory rape and prison in California. Duquette, now living in Florida, recently surfaced and that's exactly where the person in that case lives. Duquette, now living in Florida, recently surfaced as a potential suspect in the 1971 rape and murder of 13-year-old Kathy Lynn Glotti of Franklin. Duquette himself prompted a new look at the case by walking into a jail in Florida in March and saying he needed to be arrested, according to a police report. According to the report, he said he had been with Gloddy when she died, but could not remember if he had raped her. He soon backed off from those statements, saying he had strange thoughts after a spinal tap and thought I was guilty about something, but I'm not sure that is so. Thanks, living it. According to Gainesville Sun, Duquette is a devoted churchgoer who has the Ten Commandments posted outside the mobile home in Oldstown, where he lives with his wife, now 62. He is in poor health and said he has used an oxygen tank for more than 20 years. Last week he declined to talk with the Monitor about his life in 1970s. I have no response. My sins are forgiven by the blood of Jesus, he said. Can you change the past? I hate that out. You guys hate that out? Oh yeah, well, as long as I'm, ask for forgiveness, I'm cool. Yeah, could you just see Dahmer going, hey, God, I'm asking you for forgiveness. Oh yeah, you're cool. Yeah, everything's great. I wouldn't want to pray to a God that would let somebody like Dahmer off. Let's put it like that. Acquaintances from Duquette's Franklin days do not remember him being with or talking about Gloddy, whose family lived downstairs from his apartment. They do remember his nicknames, such as Filthy McNasty and Dirty Eddie. You've got his nickname right. That's how he was, said William Tinker of Northfield. He just liked to profess to be as bad as they come. He'd get in a fight and at a drop of a hat. Robert Nada of Tilton remembered Duquette as having a big mouth and making trouble. Gloddy was a tomboy, left home the evening of November 21st, 1971 with her family. So this is what happened to her. She left her home on November 21st, 1971 with her family's German Shepherd and stopped at a store to buy snacks. Her partially clothed body was found on a dirt road the next day. She had been raped, beaten, strangled, and run over. According to the Florida police report, Duquette said he was very fond of Gloddy and used to take her fishing, petting and feeling on her each time. He said she somehow fell in the water and died. Really? Doug Morin, who grew up with Gloddy and attended school with her, said the murder shook the small city to its core. It was pretty devastating. Nothing like that had happened to us before, he said. It was a small town. Things like that didn't happen here. Okay, then 2006, 8 days later. Hey, Sean Beecham, what do you mean? What do you mean, no? I don't get it. 35 years after Kathy Lynn Glotti's death, authorities exhumed her body yesterday to search for clues. Gloddy, 13, left her home in Franklin on the night of November 21st, 1971. So she was exhumed like 35 years after. 37 years. Wild, huh? Okay, so Gloddy, 13, left her home in Franklin on the night of November 21st, 1971 with her German Shepherd and stopped at a store on an errand. The dog returned home. She did not. Her body was found... Good job, German Shepherd. Her body was found on a dirt road the next day. She had been raped, beaten, strangled, and run over. No one was ever charged. I was being sarcastic, by the way. In March, Ed Duquette, 62, now of Old Town, Florida, told police he needed to be arrested for Gloddy's death. Duquette, who was an upstairs neighbor of Gloddy in 1971, has since recanted his story. But state police said they hope new technology can help them solve her slaying. There are things available today that are not available 30-some odd years ago. Well, today there's even way more available. In his discussion with police, Duquette said he was fond of the girl and often took her fishing, petting and feeling on her each time, according to police report. Duquette had said Gloddy died during one of their trips. He said she fell in the water, and by the time he retrieved her, she was limp. Well, that doesn't match anything that happened to her. When he backed off in the statement, Duquette said he had strange thoughts after Spinal Tap and thought, I was guilty about something. Okay. Anyways, let me move on to the next one. This is 2009 in March. Anne Marie Gloddy Ring testifies before a House committee recommending the state implement a cold case unit for unsolved murders. Lawmaker victims kin lobby for cold case unit. So anyways, her mother's out there, kicking ass. And the cold case unit, I think, actually came of it. This is 2009. In late November 1971, Kathy left her home on a trip to a store for ice cream. In tow was her constant companion, a German shepherd named Tasha. When Tasha returned home and Kathy did not, family members grew concerned. The dog climbed up on the doors and was clawing at the door, just scratching at the door to get in, Karen Gloddy, one of Kathy's sisters, told ABC News. The dog ran around the house searching for her. Stricken with panic, the family set out to find Kathy. That night, we called the police, we called friends, we called the neighbors. All night long, we searched. When Kathy's family called the police, they were told that they had to wait at least 24 hours to report Kathy missing. Without the benefit of current-day Amber Alerts, the Glottys were left to search alone that first night. The next day, the family learned that Kathy's lifeless and naked body had been dumped in a patch of woods just a mile and a half away. She had been raped and killed, but police had no suspects or leads. To think that she was left there, said Karen Gloddy, in the cold of the dark winter night and with no clothes on. And what had happened to her just came crashing down. It was really hard. My mom was sobbing, my dad was crying. I just stood in the doorway and I said, "What's wrong?" And just blurted out, "They found Kathy and she's dead. She's been murdered." Tom Samshak is a private investigator whose pro bono work on the case has given the Gloddy family new hope. This was a savage killing, he told ABC News. It's one of the most heinous crimes that I've ever encountered in my 31 years of professional experience. A hunter passing through the forest spied Kathy's body clothed only in a pair of knee socks and thought at first it was a deer carcass. That's not what you expect in a little town. It just seems like it almost looks like that other town that we were just looking at. That's not what you expect in a little town, that she'd been brutally raped and murdered. As the years passed, the family learned more and more details from the tragic night. Kathy had been strangled and suffered a deadly blow to the head. An automobile had run her over 4 times. The community was at a loss as to who could have committed such a savage crime. She had a good reputation. She was loved by family and was never in any type of trouble. Early on in the investigation, police pursued numerous suspects to no avail. This case would have been solved if that crime happened today, given modern forensic techniques. Kathy's parents were never the same after the murder. The Gloddy family would face more death. One of Kathy's older siblings, Richard, passed away from a congenital heart defect. Kathy's father, Earl Gloddy, died from cancer in 1992. Her mother, Lucille Gloddy, committed suicide. God. I mean, no wonder. Look at just so much. The brother, her, and her husband probably just wanted to be with them. And that one was almost not even, it's not even selfish because there's nobody left alive to hurt, you know. The arrangement ended, Karen Gloddy said, when Duquette tried to... Okay, Ed Duquette lived in an apartment above Gloddy's family home. He had lived there with his wife and young child, and occasionally Kathy or one of his sisters would be asked to babysit. The arrangement ended, Karen Gloddy said, when Duquette tried to molest her. Oh, weird. His wife had left and I was babysitting, and he carried me to his bed and he tried to sexually molest me. But I was able to get away before he could do anything. So this is one of the sisters. So I guess there was one family member. Authorities discovered that Duquette had been in California prior to Kathy's murder and that he was wanted for a terrible crime. Duquette was accused in California of imprisoning and raping a young girl after luring her with a babysitting job. Yeah, we've seen a few of those, right? Once she arrived at the apartment, there was no babysitting job. Instead, over the course of more than a day, Duquette kept her confined at the apartment, physically abused her and raped her repeatedly over the course of that time, and then ultimately she was allowed to leave. She reported that her mother had to her mother and ultimately to the police. With a warrant out for his arrest, Duquette fled California to New Hampshire, where he arrived just before Kathy was murdered. Oh boy. He seems like a pretty good suspect. Shamshak said no one had connected the dots about Duquette. New Hampshire police at the time had no knowledge of the California warrant and were unsure of Duquette's whereabouts. It's weird. So didn't the sister tell her mom about Duquette? State officials now say there wasn't enough evidence to make an arrest. Then 3 years ago, a big break came from an unexpected corner. In March 2006, a man walked into the Dixie County Police Department in Florida and spoke with Officer Dean Miller. He said, "I think I need to be arrested." And that was this Duquette guy. Let's see down here. On August 13th of this year, Ed Duquette, 66, died in hospice of lung and liver ailment. In his later years, he found religion. He had a copy of the Ten Commandments on the lawn in front of his Florida trailer. Police think that when he walked into the Dixie County precinct 3 years ago, he was a dying man looking for redemption. Kathy Gloddy's murder investigation remains open. Authorities say that even if Duquette were guilty, he may not have acted alone. Police still are watching 15 persons of interest in the case. The Gloddy sisters say they will continue to pursue justice and give a voice for Kathy. So I guess there were some sisters that were still alive when the mother killed herself. Yeah, what a nightmare. That was 2009. And this is... Let me just play these videos here. There was 3 different videos that I found. All the links are in the description. Oh, whoa!
I think it'd be harder if I gave up.
That's her right there.
You know, I promised her I wouldn't give up, and I'm not going to. I promised her, because I let her leave, and she never came back.
For 45 years, the friends and family of Kathy Gloddy have looked for answers and hoped for justice. The teenager disappeared in Franklin in 1971. Her body was found in the woods after she had been sexually assaulted and strangled. The case was never solved.
She was like my best friend when I was a child, and she was gone. She was taken from me. And I never got that closeness back again from anybody.
But there is some renewed hope. The VDOC Society, a Philadelphia-based independent group of investigators and forensic experts, have agreed to examine the Gloddy case. Those close to Gloddy announced today that the organization will start their investigation next month.
The family needs to have justice and peace, and to be able to know that they finally did what they needed to do for their sister.
I was close to her. I can't help it. I do it all the time. When I talk about Kathy, I cry. You know, she was a good kid. She was a tomboy. She didn't deserve what happened to her. No kid does. She was only 13.
There's no telling how long the new investigation will last, but the family hopes that a fresh set of eyes will bring a new perspective to this case. In Concord, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
To New Hampshire.
Left her home sometime around 5 o'clock and walked a short distance away to a convenience store. And we know that she purchased some ice cream and some potato sticks, her favorites. From there, she is seen walking in the parking lot at the Franklin High School. And that's the last anybody has seen of her while she was alive. Kathy Gloddy's body was discovered here
I'll go back in a second.
The following day on the 22nd of November. She was found here on her back, clothed only in a pair of knee socks. Her head was facing this way, and there she is seen walking in the parking lot at the Franklin High School, and that's the last anybody has seen of her while she was alive. Kathy Gloddy's body was discovered here about 1 o'clock the following day on the 22nd of November. She was found here on her back, clothed only in a pair of knee socks. Her head was facing this way, and she had been run over by an automobile that came in back over here. This was an old cart road. A hunter coming through the area initially suspected that this at the Franklin High School, and that's the last anybody has seen of her while she was alive. Kathy Gloddy's body was discovered here about 1 o'clock the following day on the 22nd of November. She was found here on her back, clothed only in a pair of knee socks. Her head was facing this way, and she had been run over by an automobile that came in back over here. This was an old cart road.
Why would
hunter
you do that?
Coming through the area
what the hell
initially suspected that this was a deer carcass.
So she was already beaten, and then he backs in a truck over her?
Came closer to inspect and saw that this was Kathy Gloddy's body. This was a savage killing. It's one of the most heinous crimes that I've encountered in my 31 years of professional experience. Suspicion did focus on several individuals, adult men in the community. They were questioned repeatedly, and
4 times apparently.
No matching physical evidence.
Hey, thanks everybody.
Was ever uncovered that would match any of the suspects.
Shade and Kate.
Nor was there any testimony, oral testimony from any witnesses. There were no witnesses.
And here's another one.
She was beaten. She was repeatedly raped.
Chance Pond Road. Hold on. So somewhere right around in here. I wonder if that's right off of that bridge right here. Let me see if there's a. If there's metal railings, then this might be it. Nope, that's not. Ooh, shit. It's kind of like that. Oh, that's probably it. Look at that. Look at this. Right there. See that? Right here. And then there should be rocks. Yeah, the rocks right there. Yep. You love that? That's cool. So somewhere around in here. So that's where she was seen at the high school, and then she disappeared, and she was found around in this area. Out in the woods, obviously.
She was beaten. She was repeatedly raped. They ran her over.
Now hopefully they kept DNA. I mean, look at that. Sexually assaulted. Yes, you can say that word, everybody. You know, everybody thinks they're really cool by typing in SA when nobody ever typed that in before. But you got one YouTuber telling you all to do it. It's almost like a cult sign or something. So anyways, she was sexually assaulted, raped, strangled, and then beaten. And then somebody ran the car over her 4 times. I mean, what in the hell's going on with that? It's I don't know. I'm not even going to say. It's crazy. New leads in the case, even handed out cards.
I was close to her. I can't help it. I do it all the time. When I talk about Kathy, I cry. You know, she was a good kid. She was a tomboy. She didn't deserve what happened to her. You know, no kid does. She was only 13.
WMUP 9. So there you go. Crazy, huh? I mean, a couple really interesting ones right off the bat. Yeah, I kind of lean towards it being that the guy that lived up above them, that he was just coming clean on it. And if they have any DNA, it seems like if they found her a day later. If they were careful and collected that and stored it, then they've got the DNA of the killer. It's almost vacation time, isn't it? Hour and 26 minutes in. Right now we're about 40% of or 30, more like 33% of a normal night. As it is terrible. Well, it is terrible, yeah. Okay. Although, I guess it's my fault since there's only 205 people watching. What do you mean, cool drone discussion? What does that mean? What does that even mean? Get a cocktail. What does that mean, cool drone discussion? No idea. Thank you, Rita Schaefer. Well, the normal night I try to bring in around $250 total from the hundreds of people watching, so that I can support my channel and the charities. We've donated $26,500 this year so far, and I'm not covering the summer wells, so I don't get it's not like a casino at the top of the the other channel where it says ding 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 every 2 seconds. So this is what we do every single month, every single day. We can see you. Thanks, Amber Maiden, Linda Howell, and Tawny Lee.
Ocean wave, ocean wave.
And right now we're at 98.07, just to let you know. 7 cents. That must be the Aussie conversion.
Tropical drink, tropical drink.
Oh, thank you.
Glass.
Lori Grant, Pebs W, Charleston Amy. Moving really quickly. Oh, I saw something on the Murdoch case. An interview with one of the girls on the boat. I tried messaging her on Facebook. Dun, dun. Hey, thank you very much, Brandy Bradford. She's one of the moderators on the new So Mean Allegedly. We're only gonna have like 2 moderators over there. That's it. And none of the moderators on So Mean Allegedly will be moderators on any of the other 2 channels. Hey, thank you, Amy Lemoyne. Oh, hold on.
LV, A, LV.
Yeah. Thank you, Rita Schaefer and Amy Lemoyne. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Yeah, so none of the moderators on either her channel or my channel are going to be moderators on that new channel. That way nobody's feelings get hurt. Okay, there you go. Works out great. Gotcha over the top? I don't know what that means. Gotcha over the top? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Gotcha over the top.
Yeah. I just don't know when we'll be starting on that again, because trying to get, got to get Scott out of the hospital. Still having some breathing issues there. What's embarrassing, Kate? I don't even know what you're talking about. Strange. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's girl code to me, man. When people just type in sentences that nobody has a chance of having a clue what they're related to, and then thank you, living it. Come on, Kate. Oh, I didn't see your first comment. I see. Hey, Kate, I'll just be really mean to you.
You're so mean.
maybe that'll help.
Appreciate you, Gray.
Yeah. That's all right. Thanks, Holly. Awesome. We're at right around like 157 right now. I mean, there's been nights where it's way over that, so it makes up for the difference. Thank you, Holly. Anyways, we'll be getting on to one more really short story, and then one. I got a neat phone call today from somebody. I'm not going to say who from, but it was pretty interesting. But remember, it was the Cindy Lynn Powers case. That one. Oh, like the mean side. I see. Why? I'll get to it in a little bit. No, Yes, everybody, if you'd like to help out the channel, the super chats, or become a channel member, whatever it is, since January 2020, the Freak family here has donated $48,500 to crime-related charities. 14,000 though is in a DNA fund. Oh, I talked to Colleen today for, I don't know, it seemed like at least a half hour. I was kind of going over different things. Hey, yeah, but hey, Ruth, we don't do psychics or EVP reading on this channel. Okay, even if you're really nice to me, we just don't do it. I could try to
Tropical
do bots.
drink, beach.
I think I might get a drink here in a second. All right, try the bots in a minute. They might work. Yeah, she'll come back on again. She's been on my show many times, Jan. Have you gone back and watched those? She's been on my show probably 4, maybe 5 times. What are you sorry about, Rita? What happened? What's going on, Rita? Yeah, you gotta go watch the show where Colleen came on and talked about. Type in Gray Hughes Chimera. That's probably all you need to do. Check that one out. I wonder if I should play that one. It's so crazy. It's spelled Chimera. Yeah. What do you mean, what the hell? What happened, Luca? What happened? 159. How is Hitchhiker coming along? She has an email out to them. It's not really an odd word at all, Luca. It's an actual thing. I guess you have to just be around for a while to learn stuff like that. Thank you, Rhea Mazaron. Yeah, Blue and Chloe have been pretty busy today. She used to run the DNA Doe project, but now she has her own company called Identifinders, and we have a fund of $14,500 over there to identify a victim and 2 different people, actually. So there you go. A crime-related one and
Gray,
one not.
Freaks, Blue, and Chloe.
Yeah, we've heard of them all. Okay. I know what it is, meanie. That's right.
Gray, you're so mean.
Did you see that? My lips weren't even moving, right? What?
Ray, you're so mean.
Wow, that was pretty good. I have to admit, I was looking at myself over here. All right, hold on. Blue, blue, flowy, blue, flowy, blue, flowy, blue, blue, flowy, blue, blue. Oh, yeah. Good times, good times. All right, you guys. I guess I'll be done with the vacation. I wonder how long is the Chimera video anyway? Let me see. Here.
The hospital. They had the police with.
To require a warning throughout it. Explain to us what a chimera is, because I guess they exist.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Those are people with two DNAs in their bodies.
Yeah.
I mean,
you gotta love Colleen. Good to be a criminal if you're a chimera, right?
In fact, I was going to say my favorite one is this serial killer in Russia. His name was Andrei Chikatilo, and he was a chimera, and he got away with murder for 10 years because the DNA at the scene of the crime, the semen left, wasn't anything like the DNA that they took from him, the blood at the police station. So they said it can't be him. They kept saying it's got to be him. No, it can't be him. The DNA doesn't match, but it has to be him. So for some reason, I forgot what happened. They maybe took saliva the next time or something matched, and it turned out he had two DNAs in his body.
Wow. Did he know that? God. He was like, you got me. Holy,
Yeah,
what do you mean that's not mine? That's what he was saying, right? What do you mean that's not my semen, he was thinking.
Yeah.
And then
they didn't catch me, so.
God, he must have just been absolutely.
Well, in those days, this was in the 80s, probably the 90s. He didn't know a lot about DNA. He didn't know. I mean, this was the police learning about DNA and knowing that if it didn't match, it wasn't him, but it was.
But nowadays, if that same guy was now and he was exonerated, and they said, well, we tested the DNA in the semen and we tested you, and they're completely two different people.
It depends because it could come out looking like a mixture. And they tried that once. They tried to trick the DNA analyst by sending in a chimera in, and seeing if the DNA analyst would say, look, it's a mixture. I can't deal with it.
That's crazy.
There was an article in the New York Times. There was a guy that gave a talk at one of the big DNA conferences called Issue. And he had just had a bone marrow transplant. And they were tracking, what DNA was in his body. Whether it was the new DNA from the bone marrow transplant or the old one. And if I remember right, his saliva, his DNA kept coming and going. It would come back, and then it disappeared a certain amount.
That's just weird. So how does it happen?
Well, they think that it's because somebody's conceived as a twin, and the twins merge into one person. One twin is absorbed.
Fraternal. Oh, like fraternal twins that absorb. So almost the exact opposite of identical twins. It's one, and then they split off. Except those are two identical.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they think it happens with identical twins, but you'll never know.
Yeah, because they're the same. Oh God, that's creepy.
So some people, occasionally somebody's born with this.
So there's chimeras of identical twins, but you don't know because they're the same DNA.
Stuff like that, but it's the merger of these.
It must be like right away, almost like they're just.
I would say.
I
would say there's not a big window for that, but it must happen. And that there was a woman recently. This is cool. She was. She had welfare for her children, and they didn't believe her, so she took a DNA test to prove it, and her children didn't match her. So she was going to be, accused of welfare fraud. She kept saying, "Look, they're all my children. This is my husband, right?" So it turned out she was pregnant, and when she went to the hospital, they had the police with her in the delivery room and everything. She delivered the child. They were right there. They witnessed it, and the DNA in the baby did not match her.
Oh man.
And they were going, yeah, that's what they said. Oh man, she was a chimera, and she had two DNAs in her body, and she was passing the other
crazy
DNA
stuff here.
Wait, can I tell you my favorite story?
Yeah.
Oh,
keep on going. Everyone's gonna love the chimera stuff.
No, this is my favorite story. This couple went to a fertility clinic to conceive a child. So they conceived this beautiful child, looked great, nothing wrong, had the baby tested, everything's fine. Except there's one thing very strange about the baby, and that is at the first test they did, the baby did not share any DNA with the father. The couple went back to the fertility clinic with their attorney and tried to explain how upset they were. Well, they did another test, and they found out that the baby shared 25% of its DNA with the dad, the second test. And the only way they could figure out this worked was that the dad was a chimera, and that he was conceived as a twin, and that he absorbed his fraternal twin, and that the sperm that went into fertilizing that egg to make that baby was his brother's DNA. So that he was really the uncle of the baby that he had conceived with his wife through the fertility clinic.
See, I actually understood that. That's the
well,
that's the scary part.
I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you.
That's the scary part. I mean, just the whole concept of chimera is absolutely crazy. They don't feel any differently than anybody else, right?
Not that I know of. I mean, it's not like they get headaches on Thursdays.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, does it ever happen? Has there ever been a chimera that turns out to be a conjoined twin? Wouldn't that be weird? They're so rare that the odds are probably so low, right?
Yeah, because conjoined twins, I mean, they're super rare.
Right. So, but just imagine because you could literally have two completely different looking people on a conjoined. What would have been a chimera, but I don't know how to say it. Let's say they merged a little bit later, and then they sort of developed. I don't know if that would ever.
Yeah, well, you know what? It'd be a little bit tough because usually those conjoined twins.
I remember thinking exactly what I'm thinking.
What identical twins?
Yeah, they weren't.
So that you're dealing with chimeras, you can't really detect.
Chimera, you have one
twin part of the chimera, right?
Being
chimerism, because if it's an identical twin and they merge, you're never going to see it. It's got to be fraternal when they merge, and then you start telling. And I don't know if that really happens with conjoined twins. If two twins are floating around in there and they say, hey, let's get and they get stuck.
And I think that there would be rejection issues somehow too, because they wouldn't be
right. I think the conjoined twins start like this, and they start separating, and they never let go. Whereas this is like two that are separate, and they kind of on top of So I think it's the opposite direction.
I'd like to just physically see. I mean, it would be cool is if somebody intentionally started off making a chimera, but then just to see what the hell happened. Nobody even knows how to do it artificially, right?
No, I mean, and why would you want to mess with it? Why would you?
Well, just like with mice,
Well, you do create chimeras when you give bone marrow transplants.
So listen to this, you guys. No, I've heard somebody say that somehow. Then your DNA can be. That's another crime story, then, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And that was, like I said, the guy with the bone marrow transplant, they did a study on him. They took his DNA from his lips, his mouth, his semen, his hair, his blood, and they monitored how much of him kept coming back. I mean, you can't get rid of all your DNA, right? So, over time, sometimes more of his DNA would be there. I think the DNA in his hair never changed.
So why does it happen? Why does it happen during a bone marrow transplant and not maybe a blood transfusion?
Because I think the blood kind of gets flushed out and redoes itself, whereas the bone marrow is the source of your DNA in your body. It's like the factory, to my understanding. So, you really, you probably never get rid of entirely all your DNA. It's still in there, so you just replace it with somebody else's bone marrow, which carries their DNA. So,
God, it just seems like there's so many weird sort of ramifications. So when you get bone marrow transplants, I mean, does some of the, since you're changing your DNA, can it alter your look in some way?
Oh, that's interesting. I really don't know. I think that, this is the edge of what I understand, that you're replacing stem cells and stuff. So that's a good question. How come your hair doesn't turn blonde or something? You must have, a certain amount of DNA of your own otherwise kind of in your body, and it's never entirely replaced.
That was a damn good question.
I'd say your blood type
if I think back, maybe there's some things that, once it's set, right? And then even putting extra DNA in your body isn't going to change.
I think, I think what it probably is that part of your body that renews itself quickly, like your blood, your bone marrow, your saliva, that kind of thing. That probably is more volatile, and you change that out. Whereas, like my skin cells that divide and stuff, they're still me. There's so many of them that you're never going to change all of that.
That's weird, because in the future we're going to probably develop technology where you can be almost like an amphibian, where you lose an arm and it grows back. Now, what if you just had a bone marrow transplant? In that instance, that arm might come back a little bit with like the other person, right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Another sci-fi story. You have a lot of listeners. Hey, listeners, here's your idea for your New York Times bestseller, by the way.
But you got to admit, that is pretty crazy, right? Some of that stuff.
I tell you, there's probably all kinds of, like the guy in the fertility clinic being his own uncle of his baby. You're going to see a lot of weird stuff, I bet.
I don't think, like if you were sitting in a bar and telling that story, nobody would believe it.
Yeah, I mean, normally you have DNA and something goes wrong and the child dies, or there's a mutation, you get a disease, or you have diabetes, so you have some kind of other deal going on. You have Down syndrome or something. If the organism dies or is very affected. These ones with the chimera, that's just benign. It just happens and you survive and you don't even know it.
Yeah, it seems so weird to me that you could merge two completely different DNA beginnings, I guess, however you want to say it, and then but you don't notice it at all. It just seems bizarre to me.
It is another one I know about, a pair of twins up in British Columbia, and they were identical twins, right? They tested, they tested the DNA in their skin or something, and they were identical, no problem. And one of them, when they were about 7 or 8 years old, one of them developed cystic fibrosis, and it's a genetic disease, and the other one didn't. So what was going on, right? They didn't know. So, okay.
I was already thinking this ahead of you when you were.
One of the twins, the way you test for cystic fibrosis is you take like the salt from your skin. You see it's got like a lot of copper chloride in your skin. That's the diagnosis. And when they did that, they snagged some skin cells. Oh, I know what it was. They had done blood tests and they were identical twins. So when they scraped the skin, they got some skin cells from the sick child and the well child. They compared the DNA from the skin and they found out they were not identical. So what they figured out was when the children were conceived, they were next to one another in the womb, and the sick child commandeered the blood supply of the healthy child. And so
That's
when
a
they were
weird one.
born, one child was fine. She was exactly what you thought. But the other child was a chimera because she was actually a fraternal twin that had taken over the blood supply, her own blood supply from her healthy sister. So she had two DNAs.
Right. That's what I knew. I knew you were going there. What the weird part is that means that there was going to be, had that not occurred, there would have been triplets, but two would have been identical, and there would have been one just fraternal twin, right?
No, there'd be two kids. There'd just be fraternal
Yeah.
twins.
Yeah, but
The
no,
end.
but the third, the chimera one, had that not been squished, because you said that. Let's see.
No, there was only two. No.
Okay,
two.
okay.
Here, they're two, and they're fraternal. No problem.
Okay.
This one's sick. This one's well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They were
The sick
fraternal.
one
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of were, they were
Okay.
snuggled up against each other,
Yeah.
and this one says, "Hey, give me some blood."
I get what you're saying. They thought they were identical because some tests
Yeah.
would show that. But
Yeah,
they
the
actually
blood
were
was the
fraternal.
same.
Yeah.
The blood test showed them, okay, they're identical twins. What
Okay,
else is
well,
new?
how about that?
Oh, wait a minute.
That scenario that I just said will happen at some point, where you'll have two identical twins.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the same scenario where if you had two fraternal twins. However, sometimes one of those fraternal twins will separate. But what if at that time one of if it was quick enough that one of the identical merged with the fraternal twin, then you'd have literally
Got it.
which is kind of similar.
So they're like half identical, half fraternal,
Yeah.
depending on what you look at. Yeah.
But for just a brief moment, they were identical, and then boom, the one.
Yeah,
but it would end
so-
up being similar, actually, to what you just said.
Yeah, so, you never, I mean, we're going to come across all these weird DNA.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that was one of the coolest interviews ever. Yet it has 1,162 views. Everybody, yeah, unbelievable. Like that video right there is so much more interesting than the 17,000 different videos made on the milk jugs in the Summer Wells case. Now, if we could just verify that, and it's incredible, right? Like, wasn't that really interesting? But don't you think it's amazing that that video there only has 1,000 views? It should be a viral video. It was freaking nuts. Anyways, you've got, there's also, let's see. Oh yeah, well, here's the way it could work. If, let's say, you had needed a bone marrow transplant, and you got a bone marrow transplant, and you're a white person, and you got a bone marrow transplant from a black person, and you happen to be one of the people that it changed the semen over to the donor, and then you had a child with your wife after that. I think there'd be a lot of like fighting and stuff going on before it was determined that you were a chimera. Right? It's weird too, because it would be the son of the biological son of the bone marrow transplant donor. Isn't that crazy? Unreal. And then also think about it like this. Let's say the man that got the bone marrow transplant from this guy, the black man, or you can even reverse it if you want. A black man gets a bone marrow transplant from a white person, or vice versa, and then that person goes out and commits a rape. And then they do genetic genealogy. It's going to lead back to not you. So the person who committed the rape wouldn't be what genealogy led to. It would lead to the donor of the bone marrow. Isn't that nuts? Right. So, do you guys can you even figure out why that video would only have 1,000 views? When a Tom, Dick, and Harry video can get, it's just crazy to me. Anyways. All right. Okay, this one's really short, but it's a case out there. So this is an article regarding Kimberly Simon, an employed You know what I'm going to do, everybody? I'm going to re-upload. I'm going to download the video and re-upload it exactly the way it is. And guess what? It'll have 2,500 views in the first day I upload that thing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Keep an eye out on it, everybody. Watch it again. It's going to be crazy. And then share it, because that video deserves a hell of a lot more views than that. I'm just saying. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to upload it tomorrow as an experiment, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll do a jazzy thumbnail. You know, I'll put a weird creature picture of a chimera on there. You know, we'll do something just wild. Okay. Hey, thanks, Jen Richards. You know, do all the bells and whistles, you know, the clickbait thumbnail. See what we can do with that one. All right. An unemployed Marcy man has been arrested in connection with the 1985 strangulation death of a teenage girl, according to Oneida County Sheriff's Department. Stephen P. Barnes, 22, was charged Friday with second-degree murder in the death of Kimberly Simon, who was a junior at Whitesboro Central School at the time of her death. Barnes, who was arrested at his home without incident, was taken into custody shortly after 7 p.m. Barnes was taken to the Oneida County Correctional Facility where he is being held. Simon was last seen about 6 p.m. on September 18, 1985, when she left her home in Marcy to meet friends at a nearby junior high school. Her parents reported her missing later that night when she failed to return home, and her body was found shortly before noon the next day by deputies conducting a search of a dirt path near the Mohawk River. An autopsy showed she had been strangled to death. And that's her right there. And this is all there is on this one. That's actually the article I just read right there. It has been almost 30 years since 16-year-old Kimberly Kim Simon went to walk from her Marcy, New York, to meet a friend at Whitesboro Junior High School. So she was at home. She was about to go to a high school. On September 18th, 1985, Kim disappeared while taking the walk on Mohawk Street. Her body was found the next day in the dense woods not far from where she was last seen. Kim had been raped and strangled less than a mile from her house. Well, this is 1984, or 85 even, so what they should, hopefully they collected the DNA in that one. The semen. Kim had been raped and strangled less than a mile from her house. Over the years, there have been many tips, leads, theories, including Satan worshippers. Wow, they must have posted that on Facebook. And suspects, including a man that was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to 25 years to life for the rape and murder of Kim Simon. After nearly 20 years in prison, that man was exonerated by DNA and the Innocence Project. Boom. There you go, everybody. That's why we've donated to the Innocence Project. I might actually have to, maybe I'll send money to them on Sunday. I don't know. Usually when it's on Sunday, though, I have to, it's got to be related to like Nick Mack or something like that. But doesn't that suck? The guy was in prison for 20 years. For 20 years, Kim's family thought they had justice. And so they must have DNA then, right? And as they prepare for the upcoming 30-year anniversary of Kim's death, they need someone to come forward with information to give them that justice. No, you need to go take the DNA and do genealogy with it. Investigators need the help of the community and those they have been too scared to talk to in the past to come forward, or the ones that have been too scared to talk. If you have any information about Kim's murder, no matter how small, you know what I should do is call over there and say, do you guys have the DNA? And, oh, this is from, I bet you they've got to be working on that, because this is June 2015. So that's it, you guys, on that one. That was a short one, though. Yeah. And that's her again, another picture right there. That was one I found in that database. There was just hardly anything on it. Okay. So now we're on to the one that was just crazy. The new one. All right, so I got a phone call earlier today from some, I'm not going to say who from, but they called me up on the phone. And we were talking about the Cindy Lynn Powers. That's the one in my town that we covered a while ago. So what I thought I'd do is I was going to quickly go over those again. I'm not going to show the video that I filmed driving around or anything like that. And then after we go over those three, you guys can tell me if you think that they are possibly connected. Okay, because now there's a third one, but we'll get to that last. Okay, let me get to the... Okay, so this is one that I covered on my show back in... I can tell you the day here in a second. Looks like June 2nd. And this is one that Buckle Bunny... There's Buckle Bunny. Hey, I was just going to mention Buckle Bunny. So Buckle Bunny, I just got called in relation to this stuff earlier. So let's listen to this one. So this is Cindy Lynn Powers, a young woman whose body was found Saturday in the Milwaukee-Clackamas area, was identified Sunday as 18-year-old Cindy Lynn Powers. Clackamas County Sheriff deputies reported that State Deputy Medical Examiner Ron O'Halloran said the woman died as a result of multiple head injuries. The Sheriff Department was investigating the death as a homicide. Passers-by found the body at about 4:30 p.m. Saturday behind some commercial buildings off Southeast Johnson Road. The victim was a waitress at Denny's restaurant on 82nd Avenue in Southeast Portland. She was reported missing when she failed to report for work at 11 a.m. Okay, then I'm going to move on to the... that's just another article just like that one. This is the main one that we had back then, right out of the Oregonian, but it was on an Ancestry website. And this one has all the information in it. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Department knows a few things about waitress Cindy Lynn Powers. So keep all the relevant facts in your mind on this one. So the Clackamas County Sheriff's Department knows a few things about waitress Cindy Lynn Powers. It knows she was brutally beaten and killed last week, apparently by someone she did not know. And deputies also know that that is one of the hardest types of murders to solve. We have leads that we're following up, but we're still requesting information from anyone who saw her that night. Detectives this week circulated a picture of the 18-year-old woman and asked for information about suspicious activity near where her body was found. Deputies held a special crime awareness seminar Tuesday for her shaken co-workers at the Denny's restaurant at 12001 Southeast 82nd Avenue. Another young waitress at the same restaurant was murdered in 1978. That's kind of interesting. I don't think they're related, but Miss Powers was last seen alive at about 9:30 p.m. March 3rd, dressed in her Denny's uniform, leaving her... I'm actually going to move this off to the side, but I'll read it. Dressed in her Denny's uniform, leaving her uncle's home at 1210 Southeast 135th Street. That's right here. So that's the uncle's house right here. Okay, so just follow along. So that was 9:30, leaving right here. She intended to catch the westbound TriMet bus at Southeast 133rd Avenue and Stark. So you go up to here, and this is Stark. And then, let's see, that's 133rd, and there's a bus stop right there. So this is where she meant to pick up the bus at. And let's see. And then she was going to transfer to a southbound TriMet bus at 82nd Avenue, which would have dropped her off at the Clackamas Town Center. So that is right. I think this is 82nd. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's 122nd. Hold on, let me. That's a different case right there. So this is 82nd Avenue. This so right here, if you go down to Street View, right here, there's a bus stop right there, and she would have got over there, basically by the McDonald's, and got on the bus and headed that direction. I drove the entire route on one of my shows, and then she was going to take the bus all the way down this direction, and then the bus actually pulls into the Clackamas Town Center here, and I think it's right in this area where she would have gotten off, and then this is the Denny's right here where she was supposed to be at 11 o'clock. Does that make sense? All right. It was only the second time she had taken that route to work because she had just moved in with her uncle and aunt. So she doesn't normally go that way, but she knew which way to go because she'd gone there. She just moved to that area. Okay. Her body was found behind a Levitt's furniture store near Oregon 224 and Southeast Johnson Road, not far from the restaurant. Okay, so there's the Denny's, right? And then her body was found right here. So just in general, it's you've got this whole area here where the uncle's house, and then way down here you've got the Denny's, and she was found relatively close to the Denny's. So did she make it to the Denny's or start walking there and maybe abducted in the back of it? Or did she never even make it to the Clackamas Town Center and perhaps got a ride up on 82nd Street, right over in this area? Maybe she got a ride from somebody. Maybe she just missed a bus or something. And then she got a ride to go down south from this person. And everything felt fine until he passed intentionally. And then drove her to this area and maybe killed her right over here. I don't know if she was killed there or just dumped there. I don't have that information. What was a neat show? Are you guys following along on this one, or? You guys are always, it's always so disheartening when there's no comments related to the one we're talking about. All right, let's see. A man and woman looking for pop bottles discovered her body, said Ray Chumley. Some of the details were withheld because we're getting into information that only we and the killer know. A TriMet bus driver reported that he thought he dropped Miss Powers off at the shopping center bus stop, but it doesn't look like that's reality. From there, the walk to the restaurant would have taken 3 to 5 minutes, and Miss Powers' shift started at 11 p.m. She was always a half hour early, Oliver said. I would have called the sheriff's department because that's the type of person she is. She was a real quiet girl, kept to herself, and was real polite. Jerry Deems, 17, a waiter at Denny's, who dates Miss Powers' sister, said Cindy had talked of becoming a teacher and planned to move to Orange County, California. In October 1978, the skeletal remains of 18-year-old waitress Sandra Kim Coe were found near Eagle Fern Park 2.5 months after the disappearance from the restaurant parking lot. So this other girl was actually kidnapped from the parking lot of Denny's. The same Denny's. Okay. So there we go. So what are the MO in that one? What did you get out of that one? Like, what are the elements? I would say, the bus part's kind of interesting. That she was beaten to death, and then that there was a rape involved. So this case was 1982, and that's when we covered it, was June 2nd, right? Then not too long after that, we covered the case of Barbara Mae Tucker, That was the one that Parabon solved with C.C. Moore. And that's the case where, let me open this up. And this is Barbara Mae Tucker. Police were seeking the killer Wednesday of a 19-year-old Mount Hood Community College student whose partially clad body was found Wednesday morning on a shrub-covered slope abutting a campus parking lot. So after I read this one, I called over there and said, hey, do you guys think this one might be related to the 1982 case of Cindy Lynn Powers? I let the detectives know, two different ones, the Cindy Lynn Powers detectives and the one for Barbara Mae Tucker, and I also messaged C.C. Moore on Facebook, and she responded and said she'd send it over there too. And actually, that's why that detective responded to me a while ago on the Barbara Mae Tucker case because she forwarded it to him. Miss Tucker's body bearing multiple injuries was found about 8 a.m. by another student. A spokesman for the state medical examiner office said the body was nude from the waist down, said an autopsy would be performed Thursday. Miss Tucker was working towards a vocational associate degree in business management. Police said Miss Tucker did not attend her Tuesday night business class. Credit procedures, which met from 7 to 10, and the officers were looking for anyone who might have seen the woman. It's so small, I gotta zoom in over here. Might have seen the woman shortly after 7 p.m. Miss Tucker was said to be a dedicated student who rarely missed classes. Sawyers, who taught the evening class and also was Miss Tucker's faculty advisor in the Distribution Education Clubs of America, said she was an outgoing, intelligent woman. Now let me move on to the next. See, there's these details about what happened. It's crazy. Barbara Mae Tucker, the Gresham student who was murdered Tuesday night, apparently sought help from several passing motorists in the hope of frightening away her attacker. Miss Tucker, 19, was murdered while on her way to an evening class at Mount Hood Community College. Authorities said she had been sexually assaulted. Gresham Police Sergeant Larry Ward said several witnesses had been interviewed who believed they saw Miss Tucker running down a street near the campus trying to stop passing cars. We believe there probably were several cars she tried to flag down. One witness we talked to said she saw somebody matching Miss Tucker's description running down Kane Street between her apartment and the campus, waving her hands and trying to stop cars. And see, this is where Cindy Lynn Powers is, but look how close, this is just right over here. It's only 5 miles away. And this is where her body was found. There was a guy waiting for a bus right here and saw her running down the road. And I think she lived right over here. It wasn't far at all. Let's see. Ward said police were trying to contact anyone who might have been driving by campus and might have seen Miss Tucker. He said no one interviewed so far actually saw the attack. Ward said she lived alone in an apartment near the campus and was believed to have been attacked while walking to a business class. Dr. William Brady, state medical examiner, said an autopsy he performed Thursday showed that Miss Tucker died almost immediately after she suffered multiple blows on the head from a heavy object. So that's similar, right? It's a beating, it's not a typical like strangulation, stabbing or anything like that. It's another like blunt force trauma type killing. And that's what made me kind of go, there's some similarities there. It was obviously a case of sexual assault. There was no indication of torture or mutilation. Miss Tucker's body, a purse, and some books were found about 8 a.m. Wednesday at the south end of main campus in an area known as the lake parking lot, so called because of a man-made lake nearby. The body was found in shrubbed area just off the parking lot. Yeah, and that's right here. There's the lake, there's the parking lot, and there's a sloped bank right there. I think you can actually see it. See? Right there. That's just my guess based on how they reported it. Okay, Miss Tucker's body, a purse, and some books were found about 8 a.m. Wednesday at the south end of main campus. The dead woman's half-sister, Sherry Jorgensen, said Thursday that Miss Tucker's parents, Albert and Louise Tucker, last saw their daughter Sunday. She added that her mother had talked with Miss Tucker by telephone. And so they made an arrest in this case. A lot of people were really angry that nobody helped her in that case. I agree. And then watch groups were made. And then we've got I actually have that article, but in the article, Gresham police identified a Troutdale man this week as the suspect in the killing of Barbara Mae Tucker. And his name is Robert Plimpton. He's 58. So in 1980, he would have been 17 or 18 years old, right? He was a very young killer at the time. And so that's what Parabon did. And then, the phone call that I got today was talking about, maybe this other case was related too. And so that's why I'm going to take a look at this one. Really, I haven't even read through it yet because I want to have the same sort of enthusiasm. And it's weird because the other one's Cindy Lynn Powers. This is Carol Lynne Keightley. Never heard of it. But I was able to find a couple Oregonian articles. Who's just coming in, Sarita? Admitted, let's see, body found on freeway Spurs probe. A partially decomposed body found Sunday evening along Interstate 84 near Northeast 100th Avenue. So let's see where that is. I don't think it's going to be that far away. Wow. That's really close. And there's 84. Was identified Monday. So along Interstate 84 near Northeast 100th Avenue. So this is 84, yeah. 100th Avenue. So somewhere, let's just say around in this area. I don't know exactly. And the body was that of, and this is 1982, okay, so this is the same time frame. It was March for, oh, so this is just a little bit before. It was in January 1982, and Cindy Lynn Powers was March 1982. A partially decomposed body found Sunday evening along Interstate 84 near Northeast 100th Avenue was identified Monday as that of an 18-year-old Sherwood woman who disappeared December 27th. So I guess the December 1981 is the actual date. Carol Lynne Keightley was last seen about 6 p.m. by her boyfriend in Northeast Portland, where she boarded a bus. Hear that, everybody? The other one had a bus stop in it, too. In one of the stories. All three stories have had the word, like, bus or bus stop in it. Carol Lynne Keightley was last seen about 6 p.m. by her boyfriend in Northeast Portland, where she boarded a bus headed downtown, according to a private investigator retained by her parents. She was supposed to transfer downtown and take... I mean, look how similar this sounds like. Like, if you're going to look at Cindy Lynn Powers, this sounds like the scenario that would have happened to her. And take a bus to Tigard where her parents would pick her up, said James Landon. So look at it. She was supposed to transfer. So again, getting onto a second bus. And take a bus to Tigard where her parents would pick her up. She did not show up in Tigard, Landon said. She was due to start a job the next day. She was enthused about that and about her boyfriend. December 30th, her parents reported her missing to Yamhill County authorities after hearing no news for almost a week. The Keightleys hired Landon. Her disappearance was totally out of character. John Drum, information officer for the Sheriff's Department, said detectives are investigating the case as a homicide, although the cause of death has not been determined. An autopsy was planned. Miss Keightley's body, partially covered with snow, was spotted about 5 p.m. by two motorists after they had stopped their car along the south side of the freeway. Drum said the body appeared to have been dumped in a small ravine. Small ravine, huh? So that's 84. Let me see. South side would be over here. Yeah, I'm not really sure about a ravine. I mean, I guess down there maybe, but I'm just going to put it in here as a general area. I mean, I know that's not the right spot, but I guess I could put it like over here. That's 100th. Northeast 100th Avenue. I wonder why they said near Northeast 100th Avenue. That doesn't really make sense. Oh wait, unless that continues on up here. Is that what this is? Ah. Maybe that's kind of like a ravine right there. Let's do that. Although it was the south side, so maybe southbound. Somewhere down there, maybe? I don't know. I guess that makes sense. Miss Keightley's body, partially covered with snow, was spotted about 5 p.m. by two motorists after they had stopped their car along the south side of the freeway, and it appeared to be dumped in a small ravine. 18-year-old Carol Lynne Keightley was last seen alive December 27th, boarding a bus for a trip to her Sherwood home, and was excited about a new job in Wilsonville that was to begin the next day, her mother said. But before she got home, Miss Keightley was beaten to death with a blunt instrument and dumped along Interstate 84 near Northeast 100th Avenue. Homicide detectives Tuesday posted a $1,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the death of Miss Keightley, whose partially decomposed body was found Sunday, said John Drum, Multnomah County Sheriff's Public Information Officer. Yes, it was about 2 weeks later she was found. Tests were underway to determine whether she had been sexually assaulted. I think she was picked up off the street, pulled into a car, and taken to where she was killed. Doesn't that sound like that could be Cindy Lynn Powers for sure? Miss Keightley said she last talked to her daughter by phone at about 5:40 p.m. December 27th. It was a cold and rainy night, and see, I bet you it was almost the same darkness outside as it would be in March at 9:30. But Carol Keightley said she would take the bus from her boyfriend's home at Southeast 58th Avenue and Powell Boulevard and transfer in downtown Portland to another bus that stopped in front of a Tigard supermarket. She had her mother to pick her up there. Her boyfriend saw her board a bus that headed downtown, so she did make it onto one bus, said Sheriff Homicide Detective Dennis Fitz. A bus driver believes she may have seen Miss... Yeah, that's weird. That's similar, right? Another bus driver says, oh yeah, may have seen her get off her bus at Powell Boulevard and 31st. So let's see where that is. So right there. Man, I'm gonna have to do like a gimmick and put me in jail. We're about 60% of a normal night with this great material. Of course, I know we're not talking about Summer Wells. I know. It's unfortunate. All right, here we go. Tests were underway to determine whether she had been sexually assaulted. We got that. So 5:30. Her boyfriend saw her board a bus that headed downtown about 6 p.m. A bus driver believes she may have seen Miss Keightley's get off her bus at Powell Boulevard and 31st. So we don't really know for sure. Thanks, Lee D. Oh, look at that. She's sending me to jail. I guess I just can't get to the rest of the story. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Oh, well. God. Darn it. Those damn stories, they're just tough to get to. Thank you, Lee D. I might sit in here the rest of the night. I need to have sound where I'm clanking a can on the cans. I mean on the bars. Go. Man, you guys are really just chatting up a storm. You know what's weird is these cases are really interesting, but they're just not quite. Thank you, Brandy Bradford. They're just not quite Summer Wells, right? I'm trying to get back to what we normally talk about, but apparently I'm just going to have to keep covering that one over and over again so that we can keep on the same pace. Hey, Chloe. Chloe. So she just bugs the hell out of... Okay, so what does that mean? All right, that got us back to even. Right, you're just listening. But everyone has something to say. And what are you confused about, Brandy? Oh, at the whole Summer Wells thing? Yeah. You got a dog in jail. Where? Where is it? I could do that. Where is it? Where's my jail? I think I had one where it was just... Oh, there it is. Okay. Help Blue get out of jail. How about that? Does that help you guys? Thanks, Tawny Lee. Oh, there's Amber Maiden. You guys are getting Blue out. Oh, yeah. Who doesn't want to get Blue out of prison? Okay.
Bail money.
Will that help out? Poor Blue. Look at that sucker. Hey, listen. It took me a long time. Yeah, they're all beaten. All of these women. So up here it says women's death due to beating. I just haven't got to that part yet. I think they're all similar, all related. I think there's a chance they're all related. Every one of these. 1980 and then 2 and 82, 2 months apart. Thank you, Living It. And Carolina Girl and Amber Maiden. Tawny Lee. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, guys. We're going to free Blue. And now me. Yeah, I was going to say I'm the bus stop killer. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, they've all been bludgeoned. It's the same thing. Beating, bludgeon. You know, it's like you're not... There's no knives. They're not strangled. There's nothing. Thank you, Alicia Powers. All right. 80%. That's pretty good. Miss Keightley said she last talked to her daughter by phone at about 5:40 p.m. Her boyfriend saw her board a bus that headed downtown at 6. A bus driver said she may have seen Miss Keightley get off her bus at Powell Boulevard and 31st. If it was her, the only thing we can think of is that she once worked at a fast food restaurant in the area. She had some time to burn and may have gone back to the area. He said workers at the restaurant said they had not seen Miss Keightley, so she didn't do that. The trip normally took about 2 hours, but when her daughter did not appear by 9 p.m., Miss Keightley said she assumed she had decided to stay in Portland. The next day, Miss Keightley said she found that her daughter did not report to work at Payless Drug Stores Northwest Incorporated, headquarters in Wilsonville, and was not with her boyfriend Pete Guzman. Portland police told her to file a missing persons report with the Yamhill County Sheriff's Department because they lived in the county. Miss Keightley said. She later filed another missing persons report with Portland police, but because Miss Keightley was an adult and there was no evidence of foul play, the case was treated as that of a runaway. God, I hate that shit. Miss Keightley said she and her husband, Homer, also placed pictures of their daughter in several stores and shops in downtown Portland near the Greyhound bus terminal. A cab driver who saw a picture told Keightley's he may have driven Carol and 2 men to the Esquire Hotel. Nah, that never happened. That gave us a little hope, Miss Keightley said, but about 5 p.m. Sunday, 2 motorists who had stopped to make a repair found Miss Keightley's body in a small ravine on the south side of the freeway. And then they also have this that's her right there. Well, you can't see it. Hold on. That's her right there. feel bad for her. That face makes me feel bad. She seems so innocent, you know. Anyways, this is the Multnomah County Sheriff's Cold Case team is interested in speaking with anyone who has information related to this homicide. That's weird. I don't know why I feel that way when I see that. That's just the look in her eyes, you know. It's crazy. Keightley, 18, of Southeast Portland, was a student at Vocational Village School and a former student at Franklin High School who was found dead January 10, 1982, 11 days after her mother reported her missing. The circumstances. The evening of Sunday, December 27, 1981, Keightley left a friend's house intending to catch a TriMet bus at Southeast 57th and Powell. Let's see where that is. That's weird. So here to here and then ends up right there. She told friends she planned to ride the bus to downtown Portland, make a transfer, and then go to her mother's home in Tigard. She never arrived. So how did she end up getting off the bus, though? That's weird. She was seen later. It's almost like she would have had to make it downtown, right? She was later seen that evening in the area of Creston Park. So she was seen after that at Creston. That's weird. Let me put that in there. So this is confirmed. It's in this article. Creston Park. So that's right there. So it's almost, did she not get on that bus and she just walked over here? This is an official document here. She told friends she planned to ride the bus to downtown Portland, make a transfer, and then go to her mother in Tigard. She never arrived. She was seen later that evening in the area of Creston Park on Southeast Powell. Her body was found Sunday, January 10th, 1982, dumped in a ravine. Wouldn't that be weird if that is a true story about the cab on the south side of Interstate 84, just east of the Gateway exit? Okay, let's see. Now we can get more precise on that. The Gateway exit? Yeah, that's 84 right there. Okay. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna have to change everything. So that's 84. No, but it goes under 84, curves around like this. Oh, and this is 110th. I gotta move this. This is way off over here. $105th, 109th. That was 100th though, right? So this is 102nd, and that's 199th. So maybe like right in this area. Southbound lane, they said. So this would be south, I'm sure, because it goes like this and then around. So that's a little bit closer. Boom, park, there. She never arrived. She was seen later that evening in the area of Creston Park on Southeast Powell. Her body was found January 10th, 1982, dumped in a ravine on the south side of Interstate 84, just east of the Gateway exit. She was fully clothed, and her purse was found nearby. So it wasn't robbery, and she was fully clothed. So that's a little different, that part is. An autopsy determined that she was likely killed within 4 hours after she was last seen. Keightley was 5'6", 120 pounds, with shoulder-length brown hair. She was wearing a brown leather jacket, white blouse with multicolored floral print, purple pants, and brown leather shoes. She had a brown leather purse with shoulder straps and was carrying a white plastic shopping bag. Keightley had a monthly TriMet pass and rode the bus frequently. Detectives determined that Keightley would sometimes hitchhike, there you go, near a bus stop and accept a ride instead of riding the bus. If the free ride came before the bus, and that's when, that's when she would do it. If the free ride, somebody goes, hey, you need a ride? And that was before the bus, she'd take it. Evidence in the case is being resubmitted to the State Crime Lab for analysis, not available in 1982. Someone knows who committed this crime, and with the passage of time, detectives hope that a person or person may now be willing to talk about it. So there you go. So you have these three, I mean, look how, if you just look at the map here, look at this. I mean, look, this is just nuts, right? I mean, you've got the uncle's house in Cindy Lynn Powers, gets on a bus, goes this way down. Then you've got, in this case, the case of Keightley, she's right over here. I mean, it's just right in the same area. Boom, boom, disappears, and then she's found right here, which is right in that same area. And then we've got this other case right there, 1980, January 1982, March 1982. I don't know. That just seems way too coincidental. And I think they're actually, and I know that they're interested in, so I called in about how I just said, hey, have you guys ever looked at the relationship between that case? They solved this one and compared it to Cindy Lynn Powers because it's 2 years apart. He'd actually been older. He'd have been 19 or 20 at the time, and just changed his MO up a little bit, and there he is. And then all of a sudden you got that other case that's very similar. That was 2 months prior to Cindy Lynn Powers. All in the same area, right there. So we'll see how that one turns out, you guys, because I think they're probably working on some of it. Yeah, this one, it just feels related. It's too small of an area. I mean, yes, there are bad people all over the place, but you're talking about January, March. Both of these are January and March. Then this one's 2 years later. That one's solved. So it'd be interesting if they could figure out if these two here are very similar with the buses and how the bodies are sort of dumped somewhere. They seem very similar. This one, is similar too, because they were beaten, but doesn't have some of the elements, but that was when he was very young. I mean, this guy could have been a serial killer. The individual, I think it, what's his name again? Hold on. Yeah, Plimpton. That's his dad. So yeah, in Plimpton, he's the killer that was arrested in this case. 80, 82, 82. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's a... How about this? Do you think the 1982 cases are related? Well, there isn't much more way for us to do a deep dive. There's hardly any information other than what I just showed you, unfortunately. But make sure to answer that one. He was just arrested this year, a couple months ago. Genetic genealogy. I mean, I can try to get interviews, but I tried with Buckle Bunny's relatives, but they never got back. All right, so I'm just going to end the poll. So a few people think they're not related, just to be contrarian with no real, there's no reasoning for it, So only 31 people, so I think one person said no. So how about this? You think all 3 cases are related? So that one might be a little bit less. Well, we don't know if they're related. What do you mean to the bus stop? What do you mean by that? See, in this one had a person waiting at a bus stop who saw this happening right on a bus route. So wouldn't it be interesting if the guy, because I actually marked out, see in red here, this is where Robert Plimpton lived. He lived right there. Look how crazy this is. This Robert Plimpton, the killer here. Look how he lived right next to these areas. Right in between them all. He lived there and there. 1, 2, 3. Those spots, and you've got all of this. Pretty crazy. What are you talking about, Holly? That's okay. Well, just get a hold of him again, Buckle Bunny. And 43, probably 5 people said no or something. But I can understand maybe not adding this one in. We'll see. We'll see. Yep, very close, very close. Well, anyways, I think that's going to be it for me tonight, everybody. Yeah, 2 hours and 51 minutes. Hope you guys found all those cases interesting. I did. And we got right to them, no hour of vaccine conversations. Isn't that amazing? Unreal. Thank you, Christy B. Yeah, no problem. And thank you guys for supporting the channel. I know it sucks because I'm always like, hey, you know, because I just got these goals now. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I want to be able to keep doing the show. Plus, I love that we're helping charities so much. You know, that's the thing. I couldn't do the shows without, you know, actually making it, you know, being able to justify it. Like, hey, I'm doing a show. You know, I do 7 hours at least a day, probably 4 trying to get ready. Sometimes it's 4 for the show, 3 to get ready. You know, sometimes 4 and 3. Either way. And then I do the whole show, and then at the end, during the month, and mainly at the end, we contribute to crime-related charities. And you know, I always get shit for that, like, well, why don't they all send it all to charity? Well, they can do whatever the hell they want to do, but I wouldn't be doing the shows every single night either. So then they'd have to just sort of think of it on their own and come up with all. But we have this whole thing, you know, a DNA fund that we have. We've got. I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel like it's worth it, but I do. It makes me feel good every day. Put a 1 if you feel good that we're helping so much. I mean, this channel, we make a difference regardless. Like, we could literally stare at the screen for 4 hours and we'd make a difference. Yeah, there you go. See? Thanks, everybody. Oh, thanks, Nicole Wilson. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I mean, listen, I always feel so fortunate to have such generous freaks, you know, and like we're all just, you know, I see a lot of you every single day, all the time, and it's really neat. Hey, thanks, Rita Schaefer. Wow. That must hurt with that heart almost beating out like that. That's the Daudio Caspian Horses Rock Lemon Head.
Thank you, Rita Schaefer. Cairo. Lori Grant. Randy Bradford. Carrie D. Miss L. Lee D. Freddie Bradford. Sarita. JD. Rita Schaefer. Linda Howell as in Linda Molden Howell, the cattle mutilations and crop circles. Living it. Zozo. Michelle Shade. Kate. Rita Schaefer. Amber Maida. Linda Howell. Tawny Lee, Lori Grant, Hebbs W, Charles Sinami, Patty Bradford, thank you, Amy Lemoyne, Rita Schaefer, Living It, Holly, It's Chris, Rhea Mazzarone, Jen Richards, Lee D, Randy Bradford, Tawny Lee, Amber Maida, Carolina Girl, Living It, Alicia Power, Christy B, Nicole Wilson, and Rita Schaefer.
Yes, thanks everybody, and keep your prayers out there for Scott, Chasing Truth's husband. He's gonna, needs everybody's well wishes and thoughts for him. And yes, thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always said, everybody, I always say, everybody. Wait, he said said. He said said. How does he know it's a... Well, what do you... he used past tense. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, the rejector, certified human lie detector, gonna get you on a stretcher if you try and play me like a projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Greg is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a protector, fool deflector, interceptor. I'll need a little spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody, talk to you later.
It's not a treat, the troll is beat, just one of the ways that I defeat it. Saying my groove, when there's a troll on the move, just takes a second to remove, 'cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna lose. Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping down the slide. Why you think you're so fly, you're such a whiny cry, battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to nullify. It's time to say goodbye. People around about me and cool about something we did or supposed to do. You might not have heard it, or maybe you have, but when I first heard it all, it was flat. Used to get angry and all uptight, but you can say what you want to spell my name right. All I'm ever guilty was rocking the house, but that's not what the room was all about. If you have to then tell all your friends, and if you don't wait till you see me again, this way I can hear cross his mouth right there, hands there, we can shake it out. Got a big mouth, big mouth. Where's Beholder? I don't see Beholder. Why are you shouting out Beholder? She's not even here. I don't get it. I don't even get it, man. Where are you, Beholder? Gee. Where is Beholder? I don't even know her. I'll throw her over my shoulder. Oh, Beholder, throw her over my shoulder. I don't even know her. I'm in the mood, I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not a treat. The troll is beat. Just one of the ways that I defeat it. Staying in my groove when there's a troll on the move. Just takes a second to remove, 'cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna lose. Nice try, lizard eye. I see you creeping on the slide. Why you think you so fly? You're such a whiny cry. Battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to mummify. It's time to say goodbye. Gee, I got to pee. I'm not talking about no wee-wee. That's pretty good. Gee, I've got to pee. And it ain't no little wee-wee. It's a... What's wrong, Zozo? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with Sarita and Lady? The Australians went nuts on me. The Aussies went nuts. Good night, mate. I gotta hang 9,000, mate. That's me on your score. Hey, put some shrimp on the barbie. I got some peanut butter jam ham, a few stubby short of a six-pack. What's the John Dory? No worries, mate. She'll be aight. Oh, man. That's perfect. Fair go, mate. Fair suck up the sauce bottle. Oi, 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 oi. Gonna go pack me up some avo. Have a Captain Cook. It's a real rip snorter. Lovely stance. Put a sock in it. Do the Harry. Play for jungles and galas. Powell Boulevard. Oh boy. Good eye, Mike. I got a high eye in thousand, Mike. That's me eye of skull. No worries, Mike. Should be alright. Shut your pie hole. Barry, shut your pie hole, Barry.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Hey, Mary Lou, she was trying to bust out some of that Australian slang. Boy, she's better than I am, I can tell you that. I don't even know what's going on with that. I just know a couple words, and apparently I don't even say them right. But boy, she was just knocking those suckers out. Anyways, thank you guys very much for supporting the channel. I know some days it's like, but you know, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that experiment. I'm going to upload the Chimera with a cool image on the screen, and I guarantee it there'll be way more than the 1,100 views or whatever it has tomorrow, just for the hell of it. See what happens. Whoa, what's going on? Get out of here. Awesome. Well, thanks. Thanks, Brandy. I bet you would say your name in Australia would be Brandy Bradford or Food. There wouldn't be an or. The R wouldn't be pronounced at the end of your name. All right, everybody. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, be safe out there.
Yeah, everybody, be safe out there.
What are you doing? That's what I do.
Be safe out there.
Be safe out there.
Hey, where the hell were you, Timmy?
Just listening to you ramble all night.
I was just rambling at the end. What are you talking about? Hey! Good night, everybody. Why can't everybody just be nice to me?
They are nice to you, Mary Lou. You're just very annoying. Okay? Everybody, be safe out there. And good night. Seriously, good night. Okay? All right, yeah, bye. Okay, see you.